Hello, hello, welcome back to my channel and this new video on the lunar eclipse, which is taking place tomorrow in Aries in Bharani Nakshatra, which is I'm already feeling it. It's been really building this weekend, I would say. I'm curious to see if you've been feeling it too, and I'm gonna go through in this video what it means, or what my feeling it means. I've been sitting here to tune in to the energies, and also so I'm going to talk about lunar eclipses, the energy connected to the solar eclipse we had in March, April there, because that was in the same nakshatra, and what the nakshatra means and what it kind of will bring, because the eclipses kind of set the tone for the coming 6 months. So it's kind of a big deal, and it's important to look into. Well, I mean, you could make it a big deal, or you could just flow with it. It's going to happen whether you like it or not, this influence. And I kind of feel it's nice to know and get a bit of a heads up. And then I'm going to go through the zodiacs quite quickly this time. I'm not gonna with Mars retrograde, I got very deep into it, and I think this time I'm going to be a bit more we'll see. But I'm going to start with pulling a card, because I really felt like that was something I should do, was guided to do at the beginning. But I'm not going to look at them. I'm not going to look at what the cards are until at the end. So, but it was very clear that they wanted to be part of the whole thing. So that's interesting. So I have here Angels and Ancestors deck. We have this one, yes, and it wants to be another one wants to come out. So 2 cards from this one, that one too. All right, and then we have Mists of Avalon, a beautiful Glastonbury Avalon, because this is a lot of goddess. There's a lot of goddess energy connected to this lunar eclipse, or like a yeah. All right, one thing at a time. All right, here we go. Now we have the cards waiting. So a lunar eclipse, what is that? In traditional Vedic Indian, it's not considered to be a very auspicious and blessed time, because what happens is the light and the luminaries, the sun or the moon, is being overshadowed by Rahu or Ketu. And those two nodes or planetary energies, they symbolize our ego, illusion, karmic ties, things we need to sort out, the things we need to understand before we can develop and evolve fully. And when they block out the light and the energy that influences us from the moon or the sun, it makes it more difficult to navigate. But it also shows you what you need to see, depending on where it falls in your chart and what it deals with, and the other elements around it, nakshatras, for instance. So that's in general what's going on. And it will be at 24 degrees tomorrow in Nakshatra of Bharani. So if you have any other planets at 24 degrees or ascendant 24 degrees, that you might be interested in to look up and to look into what that planet might be, and because that's also going to be slightly affected by this energy. So just to let you know, and I'm going to put, as well as I'm going to start with saying that too, the timestamps for everything in the description, as well as a link to a Vedic chart calculator, because you cannot use the Western chart. This is sidereal astrology, Western. Okay, I'm so all over the place, because this lunar eclipse is in my first house. So bear with me, all right? Okay, chart calculator for Vedic astrology, because that's what I'm talking about, not the Western. So, lunar eclipse is in Aries in the Nakshatra of Bharani. Bharani is the second nakshatra, and the interesting thing about this is that the solar eclipse we had 6 months ago was also in Bharani. So something that was initiated, or that was kind of illuminated because it was the sun, or started like a ball started to roll 6 months ago, is going to come back. Something that was dealt with then, or that was active in your life then, or it's something connected to that point in your life. Also could be in the world, and it's in Aries, so everything that has to do with Aries is about your individuality, who you are, the sense of who you believe as well, what's your, it's a bit of an ego challenge, and especially when Rahu transits Aries, it's a lot of fire and a lot of illusion and a lot of let's see how to phrase this. Okay, so Aries, when Aries is trying to find himself, he has to find something to believe that is greater than himself. So it's like, which motivational pull will you follow? Is it your ego, or is it the higher self's values? And I'm not really finding the words, which is interesting, because when Rahu comes in and eclipses the moon, it kind of overshadows the moon's ability. And I'm a very intuitive astrologer and intuitive everything, and so the moon is my way of dealing with things. So it's interesting, the moon also rules psychology. The moon rules our inner environment. I'm just going to go in a different direction here. So the moon has all of these elements of our inner self. It's an element of our mind because it's psychology. It's an element of our trauma, our sensitivities, our emotions, our emotional bodies, our sense of nourishment, how we care for ourselves, how we care for others, our mothering energies towards ourselves and others, our relationship to our mother, maybe even. So there's a lot of that going on. And so, yes, and if we go into the Nakshatra, Bharani, which I've mentioned now a few times, it's ruled by the god Yama, which is an aspect of Shiva, the god of death and rebirth, obviously. So it's like there's a lot of death and rebirth. There's a lot of like quite intense energies and quite fiery energies. So, and the symbol of Bharani is the yoni, like the female genitalia. So it's like this portal of life, portal of death and life, right? It's this kind of passage that we need to go through. And every birthing process is kind of tight, and it's dark and it's hard and it's painful, and you need to really push through, right? So there might be a lot of changes, there might be a lot of things that you need to face, but mainly because it deals with the moon, there are emotions coming up from your past. Bharani also deals with a lot of desire, a lot of indulgence. The pitfalls of this nakshatra is indulgence, of like being too, what's the word, too attached to material and sensuality. There's a lot of sensuality, sexuality connected here, because the Bharani, if I remember correctly, is ruled by Venus. And so Venus in this nakshatra is very sexual, and Yama, the god of desire and the god of death and rebirth, is very, so it all of this creates a sort of vortex and a cauldron of all of these. If you have wounds, if you have issues with sexuality, your own sexuality, if you have wounds regarding that, if you have shadows regarding that you haven't looked at, this is a time to look at it. There's also an energy of like connecting to your inner passion, connecting to your inner energy of Kundalini energy, but in a loving way. It's like an evolution from lower frequencies to higher frequencies. Even I'm without judgment now. There's no judgment. It's just like an evolution upwards. and to connect to other people, because as well there's a connection between Aries, which is the individual, me, and Libra, which is us, you know, couples and partnerships, because the solar eclipse 2 weeks ago was in Libra, and then we have now the moon in Aries. So there's also this mirroring going on with like, well, what do I want, and how do I relate to others, and what do I need, and how do I convey this, and what do I feel, and how do they feel, and how does this all fit together? So there's a lot going on. Just gonna adjust my seat so I don't get a cramp. Sorry. There you go. Okay, so yes, there's a lot of shadow aspects, I would say, that comes up. Mostly because I feel like Bharani has this quite, you know, sensuous but also dark energy. It has the potential of really cleansing out whatever shadow wounds you may have. You may feel like old desires may come up again, old wounds, old ideas about sexuality, about your own sexuality, or maybe in the world. We also have attachments connected to this. We also have, you know, physical sensations and you know, that kind of thing. It's also interesting because all of this is happening in Aries, and Mars, I did a video recently about Mars retrograding. So Mars retrograde is also happening at this time, which is kind of creating even more angry and fiery energy, because I feel like there's a lot of anger, you know, building up. And as Mars enters into Taurus, there could be even more anger coming up. And together with this lunar eclipse, that's also kind of being heightened, is my feeling. So there could be also something to be aware of. I'm going to go through the signs here of how does my anger fit into this? How am I nurturing this boundary that I feel I need? Also, I feel like there's also a very strong call to look at yourself in the mirror in a very, very truthful way. The only way to get through, to honor whatever comes up, whatever shadows, whatever desires, if you may feel shame for that or whatever it is, to honor it, to be truthful with yourself about it, because you're not going to get anywhere if you're not really being truthful about whatever's coming up. It doesn't have to be connected to sensuality, sexuality, but I feel like there's a goddess energy because of this nakshatra, because of the feminine essence, which is the focal point, or like the symbol of this energy. You know, there's something new being born, there's something new being brought through, but old things need to die, old things need to really be put to the side. And shame, I think, and feel is very strong, because the feeling of shame is so very disheartening. It's so very blocking and draining, and it really brings everything to a halt. If you feel shame about your body, if you feel shame about your desires, if you feel shame about your expressions, you're gonna, you know, your life force, your Kundalini energy, which is the life force, is in essence a life force. The goddess Shakti, this divine dance between Shiva, Yama, and Shakti, the goddess, is a beautiful way of creation, of creating something new. So creation also comes into this. And creation as in, if you're a painter like me, or if you want to create a project, or if you want to be creative in any other way, there's also, you know, do you have wounds? Do you have shadows? Do you have desires? Do you have something you're denying yourself? Also, connection to this, you know, the pitfall of gluttony, in the sense of, you know, indulging too much. Where am I indulging too much? And how do I relate to that concept of indulgence, and how can I see, you know, I'm just throwing things out now that I'm feeling guided to say. So I hope something finds you well, and if you feel like nothing really fits, then just leave it. But if you feel like this is helpful, then I'm glad. So there's quite a strong time now, because Bharani as a nakshatra has reconnected or resurfaced again. I mean, solar eclipse and lunar eclipse in the same year, 2022, where this goddess energy of going from this very destructive sexuality that we have in the collective, that's very common in the collective, the destructive view of femininity, the destructive view of you know, divine masculine feminine connection, all of this. And I feel like this is an opportunity for this to really change. I'm sorry, I'm very talkative with my hands. So okay, I'm gonna see if I can go through the nakshatras, the zodiacs, and I'm gonna go through them, and then we're gonna look at the cards. So all right, starting with Aries, like me. If your ascendant is Aries, you are going to have this in your first house. So it's going to be connected to the coming 6 months. Is going to affect your view of yourself. There might be illusions as well. When Rahu is involved, there may be things that you don't see about yourself that's going to come up into the surface. Old shadows that you may have been unaware of. During the lunar eclipse, I also want to say, there may be energies that you don't. How am I going to phrase this? I should just wait. Anyway, yes, there may be energies around you that you're unaware of, has to do with your projection into the world. So this coming 6 months is like a deep dive into yourself and how you feel about yourself, and learning about what you really want and what you really need. And also getting to grips with the shadow senses that we spoke about. If your ascendant is Taurus, this is in your 12th house, so it deals with death again and loss. So there will be a lot of emotions coming up from your past. Past lives could be one thing, but also from your past could also be, if you have anything hidden away, there may be difficulties for you to see things clearly at this time when it comes to your inner environment. So don't be scared if emotions come up but you don't really understand them, because Rahu always kind of casts a shadow on things. But as it moves away and as it moves forward, you will start to see things coming up into your own awareness, is my feeling. But there is a lot of work going on also in your sleep time, dream time, dealing with these old things. There may be underlying wounds, shadows that you're not aware of that will be coming up. Something from the past, definitely. So it could be something connected to not living out your sexual desires or your own sexuality, of like blocking that part of yourself, or wounds about, you know, something in that area having been a trauma for you in the past. If your ascendant is Gemini, this is in your 11th house, so meaning that's to do with friendships, groups, dreams. So I would say that there is something connected to friendships that is going to be a bit unclear for you. You may need time to sort out what you really feel good about. I mean, how you really feel about certain things when it comes to friendships and groups. Could also be that there will be a change in groups, change in friendships. How are you feeling nurtured, and where are you feeling nurtured? There could be a lot of ego playing out with friends, your ego or other people's egos, and that things may be triggered in association with friendships in that way. But I also feel like there is a shift when it comes to how you view your own dreams and how you see what you really want to create. So I would look at that. Yes, so if your ascendant is Cancer, this is going on in your 10th house. In your 10th house, work and career. So there could be some challenges at work when it comes to emotional stability, when it comes to finding your own truth, finding your space, finding your sort of... I want to talk about somebody's boss. There is something regarding somebody's boss where I'm not feeling valued enough, and where I'm not feeling like I'm being seen for what I can do and how I can contribute, and a sort of issue with communication. But there's also, like, this coming 6 months, I feel like there's a lot of focus on how I can feel. I mean, triggers and issues when it comes to what I'm here to do. What's my work role? What's my gift when it comes to this world? What am I here to express? But also, what do I want? Right? Desire, again. Death and rebirth, things might need to be let go, but what do I want? And so really think about that. Really look into these things. There may be challenges regarding it, but don't fret, because I feel like there's an opportunity for you to reinvent something. Something is being reinvented, I feel. So Leos, my Leos out there, you are having a spiritual revolution because this is the 9th house. Could be dealing with your dad. So it could be, if it is connected to your father, there could be a change in how you react to each other. It could be some issues, could be a conflict coming up. Could be something where you don't understand each other at all, because a lunar eclipse kind of eclipses emotional connection. How do we even connect, and what is happening here? So that's something to look out for, that you could be having issues with that. Or you can, your father could have issues as well. He could be going through something that you either may be called to support him with because of the moon, supportive and nurturing, right? If you want. Or it could also be an inner spiritual deepening of your practice of this coming half a year. You're going through this motion of really lifting up all of the things that stand in the way of you moving forward in your spiritual practice. I feel like also higher knowledge is coming in. Something about studies, something about going into school again and being a student, I feel. It doesn't have to be like a university course. It can be a small course, or it could be a workshop, or it could be something, but I feel called to kind of deepen myself or meditate more. So if your ascendant is Virgo, this is in your 8th house. So 8th house means it's the house of death and rebirth, and everything that we've hidden away. So we have double theme here. So it could be quite a strong moon. It's also very occult. Quite a lot of like spiritual, like I feel like I want to do ceremonies. I feel like I want to do drumming. I feel like I want to go more into my actual, where the 9th house is more spiritual, as in like monk-like. The 8th house is more occult, as in like witches and paganry, and I'm very, very generalizing now. Okay, so, but astrology, tarot, I feel a sort of reviving this energy is being heightened. But there could also be things lifted out from the shadows for you to look at. Connections to death, definitely, because we have this lunar eclipse in the Nakshatra of Bharani, where the ruler of death, Yama, is in the house of death. So there is something connected to loss, but also breaking free from this. I feel like you may be really, I want to sink my hand down and lift up everything I have hidden underneath the carpet in my shadow house and look at it. You could also be more emotionally sensitive when it comes to triggers. So be aware of this. So if your ascendant is Libra, I always mix those up. Libra. Okay. Libras, This will be in your 7th house. So relationships is the thing here. Let's see. Well, obviously, your partnership, if you have one, is something that will be in the forefront for you the coming 6 months. There could be quite a lot of change. There might be needs for change for you to really feel like you connect to the other person. You both might need to look at your inner values and needs, because of Aries being this the house of relationships, then, you know, and you having Libra as an ascendant, where you're very diplomatic and very connected to how other people feel, and balance and righteousness and all of these things. And Aries is quite a lot of like, well, but me, but also me, but don't forget me, that kind of energy. And I feel like there may be a need for that for you, to understand that further, to find your individuality within a partnership, but also you know, whatever shadows and feelings that you may, it's like something about neglect. I'm hearing neglect in my head. So either you may be feeling neglected, or that you have been neglected but suddenly see the truth for what's going on. Could also be that you are neglectful during this time because you're being kind of overshadowed in your 7th house. This is kind of losing track of the relationship in a way. But I feel like there's something about neglect, and I feel more towards you being neglected. And this could also deal with old relationship. It doesn't have to be now. Also, because it is this kind of very sensual sexual thing, it could be that your sexuality could take a different turn. I'm not meaning that you're that sounded weird. I meant like, really, don't be afraid of exploring and opening up to playing with it, making it a ritual, making it a ceremonious thing, making it something loving and joyous and life affirming, and you know, because it's a way of connecting to, and even if you're single, if you're just doing it with yourself, there are many ways to work with the goddess. You could invoke Freya, you can have, I mean, you could make it into like a very, I don't know, do whatever, right? Spread rose petals around you and, you know, play beautiful music and just make a thing of it. Just explore what you like, you know, play. So that comes up. And also be a bit aware of overindulging, whatever it is, not even, you know, sexuality, but just whatever it is. If your ascendant is Scorpio, this is in your 6th house. So there's health focus, your health, your balance, but also kind of enemies coming up. So either there could be some changes when it comes to your health. Be aware of what you do, because it's like something is quite unclear about your health. I'm not meaning that you should be worried or anything like that, but it's like I want to be extra careful with my own health the coming 6 months. Be aware of what I do. Mainly food comes in, but also it's like my mind. Something about my mind is affecting my health. Thoughts, my thoughts, because the moon is the psychology, right? The way my mind has, it's like, there might be one Scorpio out there watching this who I feel could benefit from hearing that your thoughts may be making you less balanced. So I'm not a doctor, but I know the energy, how energy is, language works, and our thoughts and our emotions affect our physical body. Everything is energy. So there is something about restructuring in the way you see things yourself, and this is affecting your health somehow. Could be that old feelings and old symptoms could be coming up as well. But I feel also balance is very important. Balance is very important at this time. What else? So energetically, you could be feeling more energy. And because this is an Aries, and you could be feeling like you have a lot of energy to spend. But I feel like there's something that you might be missing when it comes to your health. So be a bit aware. Just be a bit aware of this. Okay, so if your ascendant is Sagittarius, my Sags out there, this is in your 5th house. I have to count backwards. 5th house, your children, your kids, your inner children as well, your creativity, everything that you birth, everything that you create. So either your kid, your child could be going through quite a lot of emotional turmoil. And they would, because that's Aries. So there could be a lot of focus on them, how they feel, and going through something quite changing, quite strong. So don't be too alarmed if they seem to have more tantrums or exhibit more emotions, or feel a bit in this whirlwind that is this lunar eclipse, because it is strong energy. So that's one thing. But also your creativity, your own inner child, your own expression could be having a deepening, having a changing, good Lord, you could have a changing experience when it comes to this. I feel like I want to be more expressive. And I feel like my emotions around this, here is something that I'm coming back to, the feeling of shame, of, what do I have to offer? What do I have to say? It's like if your inner child has been shamed before, then this might be coming up again when it comes to your offering. What is it that you want to create? I also feel like my individuality is something that you need to look at, because it's Aries, but the 5th house is already individuality as well. Who are you? Your own regalness. What else? What else? Do I want to say anything else? No, I feel that's it. Okay, so if your ascendant is Capricorn, this is the 4th house, emotions and home. So lunar eclipse in the house of emotions, that's quite intense. You could be experiencing quite stormy shifts. You could be experiencing also sort of lack of emotion. I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if you felt like not really being able to understand what's going on. And I don't mean that as in, it sounds like I'm, dumbing you down. That's not what I mean. I mean more the sense of a lot of emotions going on, but I can't make sense of it. And it's because Rahu is blocking out, and I may feel very desirable. That too, but feel quite a lot of urges to different things, and not really knowing why. And I feel like there could be a lot of highs and lows in a way, because Rahu in the house of emotion is very, very, roller coaster energy. So lunar eclipse here, it's like this, whatever you have that you haven't already dealt with will be coming up to the surface for you to ride that wave and let it go. So everything is always there for you to be released from it, for you to be able to free yourself. That's the whole journey, right? Yes. Could also be a change in home in a way. There could be a changing around your home, your inner home, but also your outer home. Feeling very differently about my own home. Yeah. If your ascendant is Aquarius, this is in your 3rd house. So it deals with siblings, it deals with your community, it deals with your role in your community, what you're here to do. Expression is very strong. Writing, photography, art, creative endeavors, blogging, YouTube, all that stuff, social media. So Aquarians may feel like there's a lot of different things going on in how they want to express themselves. And in the coming half a year, you may feel more called to do that. You may feel more called to involve other people in your emotional process, or express it more, or tell people about it more, or use it in your work, in your writing, if you're doing that as a job, for instance. Or just, you know, it could also be that your sibling is going through something, that the relationship with your siblings is in a changing phase, or that you may feel it's difficult during the eclipse period, which is now, the few days ahead. You may feel a bit like it's a bit difficult to connect to your sibling, or to, you know, communicate. But also extended family, it's also like this, you know, aunts and uncles and all that stuff. So that's also something to be aware of. Could be the sibling is also going through quite a lot of change, and you may need to be aware of that. Yeah. If your ascendant is Pisces, last but not least, this is in your second house. So your second house rules your values, your connection to food and money, your connection to your parents' values, your childhood. So definitely things coming up from your childhood. So old wounds when it comes to this, old desires. If you've gone through things that are quite tough when you were a child, then this is going to be a resurfacing for you to be able to deal with during this, you know, 6-month eclipse period. So it's kind of like, also, I'm being reevaluated, or you are reevaluating, translation. Reevaluating how you see your own values. What do I believe in? How do I feel connected to food and money? You may be also experiencing a lot of illusions and challenges regarding how you see these things. And it's like I'm being very pulled and prodded to change the way I think, change the way I see myself and how I see these things. And there's a close connection to your individuality, to your boundaries, to your, you know, power, because Mars and also Aries, and your emotions. So there's, you know, because Pisces is a very emotional sign, quite sensitive, right? Quite humble and open and loving. But I feel like there's quite a lot of changes going on your quite fundamental levels when it comes to how you deal with this. So food and money, maybe being drawn to changing your food, maybe being drawn to working with finances, to balance your finances more, to make a change so that you create more stability, or the things you believe in is going to really be rocked around the boat. So you need to find a new balance. That's what I see. Okay, good. Now we are looking at the cards. All right, so from Miss of Avalon, oh wow, okay, we have the Holy Grail, life force, regeneration, spirit, and wisdom. I feel like that's all I've been talking about for 40 minutes. Wow, that's a brilliant card. Did we not get that from Mars retrograde too? I think we did. No, I'm misremembering. Anyway, Holy Grail. Holy shit. Okay, so quite a strong life force, Kundalini, goddess, this, you know, chalice energy. So I feel like there's a lot of potential for something new to be born. There's a lot of energy that could be used for something magnificent. I feel like there is going to be a lot of people talking about how difficult this is, how challenging this is. And it is. Mars retrograding back is going to create a lot of turbulence. And also this lunar eclipse period is going to create a lot of internal turmoil. But look what you can get. Look what you can retrieve from this. This is the goal, right? To reconnect to this absolute inner glowing chalice, like the, you know, all of our womb spaces, regardless of our gender. To find the true energy that you hold and what you want to do with that. Okay, so we turn one here. Ooh, Sky Father. Powerful cards come today. Sky Father, I love this card. So trust in the unknown. There is going, because when Rahu is involved, there's always going to be an eclipse on the head. Aries is the top of the head, the crown, our mind, our thoughts. So when Rahu is transiting on top of the head, it means that there's quite a lot of eclipses when it comes to psychology. We're not really thinking straight. And when the lunar is also in there, there will be a lot of eclipse and a lot of like confusion as to, what did I mean? What does that mean? And this can be very agitating because Mars and Aries is quite angry. So I feel like there could be a lot of like unknown factors because there's quite a fundamental change. So trusting in this is going to be pivotal for you, so you can go through this in a calmer way. But also, like, there's something quite big coming in. There's quite a lot of potential. I've said that before, saying it again. There's a lot of potential, and you can see it. Holy Grail and Skyfather. Oh, I'm excited. Look at that. Shapeshifter. I mean, couldn't be a better card, could it? Transform and unveil your gifts. What else can I say? Just, yeah. That's the goal. That's the point. That's the whole reason we're doing this. And that's what will come of it. That's what will happen if you allow yourself to go through your wounds, go through your shadows, go through whatever comes up for you during this lunar period. Go through and deal with whatever desires, shame, whatever it is coming up, and don't get lost in your indulgence. Then this is absolutely possible and quite, a strong card to come up. So that's really interesting. And I think I feel very uplifted, and that's a good sign. I take it as a good sign. So yes, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, click the like, subscribe, share it if you want. And I'll see you soon again for something else interesting. I don't know what the next video will be. Well, we'll see. Yeah, wishing you a beautiful lunar eclipse. Take care of yourselves. Sail through it as calmly as you can. Breathe. And yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.